Hey everyone, if you've ever had to lead a team through a really tough time, you know that pressure to be, well, tough. Today, we're going to look at a totally different model of strength, and we're going to do it through the lens of Jacinda Ardern's leadership. For anyone out there in pastoral care, especially in boarding and international schools, her approach is, honestly, a masterclass in how empathy can become your most powerful tool.
So let's just dive right in with a question I bet a lot of us have asked ourselves at some point. Is being kind actually a sign of weakness in a leader? I mean, we're always told that tough times call for tough leaders, right? But is that really the full picture?
You know the stereotype of a strong leader. They're decisive, detached, maybe even a little bit intimidating. But then you look at someone like Jacinda Ardern. In the face of that horrific national tragedy in Christchurch, she showed the world that real strength isn't about being hard. It's about connecting with people, on a human level. She basically proved that empathy isn't just some soft skill, it's a massive strategic asset. And that really gets to the heart of what we call the leadership paradox. It's this constant tension between showing kindness and at the same time maintaining your authority. So today, we're going to pull that whole paradox apart and see if it's even a conflict to begin with. Now, to make this really tangible, let's step into a pretty unique environment, a school boarding house. I mean, this is a place that is just buzzing with the emotional highs and lows of young people trying to figure things out. And in a place like that, leadership isn't really about spreadsheets or hitting targets. It's all about navigating feelings when things get messy. All right, first things first, let's completely dismantle the biggest myth out there. This idea that kindness is the same thing as weakness. We're going to redefine what real strength in leadership actually looks like. So, the myth that everyone seems to believe is that a kind leader is a permissive one. No rules, no standards, a total pushover. But that's just a huge misunderstanding. The reality is, kindness has nothing to do with getting rid of boundaries. It's all about how you hold them. Think of it as the difference between a rigid, unmoving wall and a supportive, sturdy fence. And in a boarding house, you see this play out every single day. It means you can be totally firm about a student's behavior while still treating them like a human being. You can acknowledge the anxiety or the homesickness that might be driving their actions without excusing the poor choices they made. It's all about offering support right up to that boundary line, but then holding that line firm. Now, this ability to hold boundaries with kindness, it's powered by another core idea. Calm creates calm. A leader isn't just a manager of tasks. They are the emotional thermostat for the entire community. Just let this one sink in for a second. Young people borrow calm from adults. What a powerful thought, right? In a space that's just filled with teenage emotions, a leader's own state of mind is literally contagious. Think about Ardern's steady presence after that terror attack. Her calm became an anchor for an entire nation, and it allowed people to feel secure enough to actually grieve. The skill behind all of this is, of course, emotional intelligence. It's that ability to just read the room, to put a name to the feelings that are swirling around like homesickness or anxiety, and then respond in the right way. It's knowing when you need to jump in and act, and when you need to just slow down and listen. So how do you actively become that calming presence? Well, it kind of boils down to a three-step process. First, and this is the most important one, regulate yourself before you even try to regulate anyone else. Second, when things go wrong, communicate with absolute clarity. And third, especially during stressful times, double down on predictable routines. That stability becomes an anchor for absolutely everyone. Okay, so kindness and calm are absolutely crucial, but they get amplified by our third pillar here, the power of presence. And this is so much more than just being physically in the room. It's about being truly visible and, authentically human. Seriously, think about what students actually notice. They see the leaders who are just around in the evenings, not only during office hours. They remember the person who learned their name and asked them about their soccer game. And they definitely feel the difference between someone who's checking up on them versus someone who is genuinely checking in. These small acts of presence, they are the absolute building blocks of trust. All right, let's connect all the dots. We've talked about kindness, calm, and presence. And far from undermining a leader's authority, we're about to see how these three things actually combine to make it so much stronger, creating true psychological safety. So here's the bottom line. Leadership in places like boarding schools where care is literally the main job, it is always relational first. The relationships you build are the foundation for everything else. And only after that foundation is solid does it become operational. All the logistics, the rules, the schedules, they all just work so much better when they're resting on a solid bedrock of trust and human connection. Which brings us to probably the single most important takeaway from our entire conversation today. Leading with empathy does not weaken authority, it deepens it. And listen, this isn't just some nice fluffy sentiment. It means your leadership becomes more effective, more real, and more sustainable because it's built on mutual trust, not on fear.
So we'll leave you with this to chew on. In your own work, in your own life, where could your empathy be more than just a soft skill? Where could it become your greatest strategic strength?